Story 1. My buddies and I had snagged the campus recording studio for our audio engineering project, opting for the graveyard shift since daytime slots were booked solid. The university sprawled across old Arkansas farmland, and with overnight clearance, we were the last souls wandering the halls after midnight. No janitors, no security patrols, just the hum of fluorescent lights and distant crickets. The setup divided into the padded booth for vocals and the control room packed with mixers and monitors. We'd scripted a podcast episode on local history, ironic now that I think about it. Right from the start, takes went south due to this nagging white noise, like faint static from a detuned AM station seeping through the insulation. We double-checked cables, swapped mics, even killed the AC, nothing. The booth was dead silent to the ear, but playback revealed that persistent hiss, almost rhythmic, mocking our efforts. Frustrated, we rotated roles, me on the board, Jen Ling cueing tracks, Kimberly handling vocals, and our pal Mike scouting for interference. Around 2 a.m., Kimberly nailed a clean read. Jen hit play, and we leaned in. Buried under her words, clear as a whisper in the dark, came a woman's voice, soft, ethereal, humming a melody that chilled us to the bone. It wasn't random, it swelled and faded like an old folk tune, laced with sorrow. We replayed it, cranking the volume, and Mike muttered, "Sounds Japanese, like something from those World War II propaganda reels." Shaken but curious, we didn't bolt right away. Mike, the history buff, pulled up his phone and matched it to Bumi Yukaba, a wartime anthem from Imperial Japan, translated to "If I Go Away to the Sea," a dirge about sacrifice and duty, sung by soldiers heading to battle in the Pacific. No way it was a glitch, the studio gear was top shelf, no bleed from external sources. We tried one more take, this time isolating the noise. Playback hit us harder, the hum morphed into faint lyrics, Japanese words weaving through static, as if sung from underwater. Adrenaline pumping, we scoured the room. Under a loose floor panel in the booth, probably from renovations, we found a dusty relic, an old phonograph needle, scratched and bent, tucked beside a faded photo of a young Japanese woman in 1940s attire, her eyes staring straight ahead. The back scrawled in ink, Rower, 1943. That's when it clicked. The university sat near the remnants of Rower Relocation Center, one of those World War II internment camps where over 8,000 Japanese Americans were warehoused in Arkansas barracks, stripped of homes and freedom after Pearl Harbor. Locals whispered about unrest there, families torn apart, guards on edge, and one woman, a teacher named Aiko, they'd say, who sang those old songs to soothe the children at night, until she disappeared. Official logs called it escape, rumors hinted at something darker, like despair driving her into the swamps. We stashed the finds and crashed in the adjacent lounge, too rattled for the long walk back. I nodded off at the editing station, head on the keyboard. Then it started, keys depressing softly under invisible fingers, plinking out that same Bumi Yukaba melody, note for haunting note. I snapped awake, staring at the screen flickering to life on its own, displaying a grainy image, the same woman from the photo, her lips moving in silent song. The others stirred, swearing they heard it too, but the keyboard log showed no inputs, just timestamps aligning with Rower's curfew hours from 43. Morning broke, and we dug deeper online, confirming Aiko's story. She'd been a singer in pre-war California, interned at Rower, where her tunes became a quiet rebellion against the barbed wire. Some accounts claimed she hanged herself in a storage shed repurposed as a studio, others said guards silenced her for subversive music. But the twist hit when Jen checked her family tree. Turns out her great-aunt had been at Rower, a kid in Aiko's care. That hum wasn't random, it carried a faint whisper of Jen's family name, like a long-lost lullaby calling across decades. We scrapped the project, sealed the panel, and avoided that wing for good. Even years later, tuning into old radio broadcasts or hearing wind through Arkansas pines, I catch echoes of that tune, wondering if Aiko's still out there, her voice trapped in the static, waiting for someone to finally listen and set her free. Story 2. The elevator queue stretched like a bad traffic jam for that evening's seminar on urban planning up on the 5th floor of the new campus high-rise, so my pals and I ducked into the stairwell to beat the wait. University of Chicago's Hyde Park campus felt eerie after hours, echoing corridors, sodium lights casting long shadows on the unfinished concrete. The building, a gleaming addition to the medical complex, had only been open a few months, but word around the quad was it carried bad juju from the get-go. We'd heard the scuttlebutt. A worker had taken a fatal plunge during final construction, but who pays attention to campus gossip when you're cramming for credits? We climbed steady, boots scuffing the risers, chatting about the speaker's rep for dry lectures. Around the third-floor landing, a guy descended toward us, 40s, built like he'd hauled steel beams all his life, in a frayed white tee smeared with old paint and gray work pants torn at the hems like they'd snagged on rebar. His face was weathered, a fresh-looking bruise shadowing one eye, boots leaving faint grit trails. I locked eyes, gave a curt nod, blue-collar courtesy, and he nodded back, flashing a tight smile that didn't reach those tired hazel eyes. We pushed on, but at the next turn, the group halted, eyeing me sideways. What was that about? Jen whispered, glancing down the empty flight. You nodding at thin air like some weirdo? The construction type who just passed, I shot back, peering over the rail. Grinned right at me, didn't you clock him? Blank stares all around. Mike shook his head, phone flashlight sweeping the stairs, zilch but dust motes dancing in the beam. Man, stairs were clear. You pulling our leg? Kimberly muttered something about low blood sugar, but I replayed it crystal, the shuffle of his steps, the faint whiff of sweat and metal off him. No hallucination, I'd stake my toolbox on it. Shrugging it off as a trick of the lights, we slipped into the auditorium, grabbing seats amid the hum of projectors and murmured intros. The talk dragged on load-bearing codes and seismic retrofits, ironic fodder, but my mind wandered to that face, the way his smile seemed almost relieved. During the Q&A lull, Jen nudged me with her phone, screen glowing with a Chicago Tribune article she'd Googled on a hunch. Check this, remember the fatality on this build? OSHA probe and all. The photo loaded, David O'Donnell, 27, a technical surveyor from the South Side, killed in a scaffolding collapse at the site of Chicago's new cancer center. He'd plummeted over 80 feet when a platform gave way, no harness failure, just a rogue gust or bad weld, per the report. His mug stared back, same bruised eye, same work-worn whites and grays, pants ripped identical. My blood ran cold. That's him, I croaked. Exact match, the nod, the grin. How? We huddled post-seminar in the hallway, nerves frayed, debating ghosts versus gas leaks. Lights buzzed overhead, and then, a scrape from the stairwell door, like boots grinding concrete. We cracked it, empty, but a chill draft swept up, laced with that sweat and steel tang. Mike laughed it off as HVAC kicking in, but his voice cracked when we heard it again, faint thuds, rhythmic, like someone testing a loose guardrail above. Opted for the elevator down, cramming in with the stragglers. As we dropped floors, my phone vibrated, a random alert from the campus safety app, timestamped to our climb. Attached, a grainy still from the building's security feed, auto-flagged for anomalous motion. There he was, mid-stairs, nodding at the camera lens, face blurred but that bruised eye unmistakable. Log showed no entry scans, no heat sigs, just a timestamp aligning with O'Donnell's logged fall time from the incident report. We didn't sleep easy that night. Dug deeper online come morning, turns out the site had history. Before the cancer center broke ground, it was an old warehouse district, site of a 1920s collapse that buried 3 ironworkers alive during Prohibition-era bootleg ops, official cause, structural fatigue, but locals spun yarns of sabotage. O'Donnell's family sued for negligence, claiming ignored warnings about shaky scaffolds. Settlement hit headlines just weeks back. But the real gut punch? Jen's uncle had worked that crew, knew David as a stand-up guy, always humming old Union tunes on breaks. Swore David had spotted a flaw in the 5th floor bracing days before, tried flagging it, but foreman brushed him off as overtime paranoia. Twist came when I revisited the security pic on my laptop, zoomed in, his lips moved like mouthing words. Lip read it frame by frame, check the rail. Next day, campus alert blasted, minor stairwell mishap overnight, a loose 5th floor handrail nearly sending a janitor tumbling. Fixed before dawn, no injuries, but the work order noted anonymous tip via an untraceable app ping. These days, I avoid high-rises, stick to ground-level gigs. But passing Uchikago's tower, I scan the windows for that nod, wondering if David's still pacing those stairs, grinning at the ones who listen, guarding the living from the falls he couldn't cheat. Story 3. The flashlight beam cut through the fog rolling off the New River as I made my first rounds at Virginia Tech's Alvin Stewart Livestock Arena, the remote veterinary teaching site tucked into the hills outside Blacksburg. The place handled hands-on training for the vet med students, pens for pigs, stalls for horses, pastures for cows, and that lone weather station perched in the open field like a forgotten sentinel. Nearby, the New River Valley Regional Jail loomed just a few miles down Route 100, its floodlights piercing the night sky. I'd taken the gig for the steady paycheck to cover my engineering tuition, figuring babysitting farm animals beat flipping burgers. Jane, the shift lead with her clipped Appalachian drawl and no-bull attitude, had drilled the rules into me like they were gospel. Laminated card, commit to memory, no shortcuts. Channel 2 on the radio unless it's life or death, then flip to 4. Head counts mandatory, 6 pigs, 3 horses, 3 cows. Lock the weather station gate tight. No scarecrow out there, spot 1, haul ass inside. Animals bedded down by 9 p.m., ignore any bleats or moos after. Skip the dirt shortcut from weather station to stables post, 11 p.m., stick to lit paths. Broken window by stables? Recount livestock pronto. Steer clear of that outdoor bathroom, no exceptions. Escaped animal? Let it roam, probably not ours, and the path rule applies. Horses get 1 alfalfa treat nightly. If they snub it, barricade in the office. First shift kicked off smooth. Fed the horses, Titus, Belle, Daisy, watching them crunch the treats with gusto. Good omen, per the rules. Counted heads under the sodium lamps, all present, snorting and settled. Locked the weather station gate with a satisfying click, its anemometer spinning lazy in the breeze. But at 11:45 p.m., circling back, the gate gaped open like an invitation. Chain dangled loose, no sign of tampering. I froze, radio crackling static on Channel 2. Swept the beam across the field, Virginia Tech's meteorology set up for local AG data, and there it stood, a lanky silhouette 50 yards out, arms akimbo, too tall for a man, straw hat crooked under the moon. Not a scarecrow, the rule said. My gut twisted. Blacksburg locals whispered about odd shapes in these hills, but I'd chalked it up to moonshine tales. Backpedaled quick, heart jackhammering, aiming for the main shed. But the stables loomed closer, and panic won. I ducked into that forbidden bathroom, a cinderblock add-on with a grimy window overlooking the pasture. Locked the door, killed the light, and hunkered down. Phone showed no bars, typical for these valleys. Then the footsteps started, heavy, irregular, circling like a predator sizing up prey. Peered from the window's edge, 7 feet of nightmare loped into view. Upright on hind legs, fur matted dark, head like a wolf's but wrong, ears low set, muzzle elongated, eyes glowing red-yellow in my reflected beam. Teeth glinted sharp as it sniffed the air, dropping to all fours then rising again, claws scraping dirt. Dogman, they called it in those online forums I'd skimmed. Sightings dotted the New River area since the 80s, dismissed as bears or coyotes by fish and wildlife. But this was no bear, it moved with purpose, intelligent, hunting. It nosed the glass, breath fogging the pain, tapping claws deliberate, tap tap tap. Mouth worked, garbling sounds, almost words, like, out, here. Distorted through fangs. I clamped a hand over my mouth to stifle a gasp. Sirens wailed from the jail direction, escape drill or real breach, who knows? The thing whipped its head, snarled low, and bolted toward the road, multiple footfalls fading into the night. I burst out, sprinted to the office, bolted every lock, and rode out the shift white-knuckled. Jane clocked in at dawn, eyeing my pallor. Rough one? Gate open. Saw something in the field. Hid in the bathroom. She sighed, brewing coffee. that window's a liability. Draws em in. You see it up close? Described it, the dogman, the mimicry. She nodded like it was Tuesday. Been reports since the jail expanded in the 70s. Folks say it's tied to old mining shafts under these hills, or maybe escaped experiments from the vet labs back in the day, rabid hybrids or worse. But rules keep you breathing. Drove home checking mirrors, but bills don't pay themselves. Back that night, vigilant. Rounds normal till 1 a.m., heard glass shatter by stables. Rule 7, recount. Pigs, 6. Cows, 3. Horses. Titus balked at his treat, nostrils flaring, eyes wild. Locked in the office fast, radio to channel 2, Jane, horses off. Something's here. Static, then her voice, stay put. It's not the animals you gotta worry about. Footsteps outside again, circling. Then a knock, human-like. Peered through the peephole, Jane? But she was off shift. Marcus, open up. It's me. Voice off, too gravelly. Rule flashback, no mentions of mimics, but instinct screamed. Switch to channel 4, emergency burst to campus PD, intruder at Alphen Stewart. Possible, animal attack. The Jane outside growled, claws scraping door. Sirens again from the jail, coincidence? Thing fled as lights approached. Cops found tracks, massive paw prints leading to the field, vanishing near the weather station. Jane arrived real this time, face grim. You did right. That thing? It's been poaching livestock for years. But the twist, jail logs show escape syncing with sightings. Inmates vanish, then, disappears. Theory is, something in those old cells changes, Vet program studied samples quietly, fur, prints match no known species. Handed in my notice next day, but not before digging online. FOIA docs from the 80s, Virginia DOC tested behavioral drugs on prisoners near Blacksburg, vet college consulted on animal trials first. Side effects? Mutations, hushed up. Dogman sightings spiked after. These days, I stick to city jobs. But hearing howls on windy nights, I wonder if those rules were containment, or cover. And if Jane's still out there, feeding treats, waiting for the next shift to slip up. Story 4. The dorm was quiet that night, save for the faint hum of the vending machine down the hall at Oregon State University's Corvallis campus. Cambria and I had been inseparable since freshman orientation, two misfits bonding over gritty coffee, her oversized black flag tee, and boots patched with duct tape. She claimed it, kept the nightmares stitched shut. We'd blast thrash metal, trade Lovecraft stories in mock Cockney accents, and laugh through slasher flicks until dawn. She wasn't just a friend, she was the one person who saw me, really saw me. So when she vanished, it wasn't just a hole, it was a void that swallowed everything. Campus police fed me a line about Cambria leaving for a family emergency. Bullshit. She had no family, orphaned young, just me as her anchor. Her phone went dead, texts bounced, her student email erased like she'd never existed. Her dorm room? Some new girl claimed it, swearing she'd lived there all semester. Professors shrugged, classmates barely remembered her name. It was like the world had hit delete, and I was next. Her last text haunted me, found something on campus. Going deep to stop it. Don't follow if I don't come back. She'd mentioned a sleep study in the psych department, something about silencing her chronic nightmares. We'd laughed off our sleep paralysis demons as brain glitches, but now I wasn't laughing. I started digging. One night, around 2 a.m., the dorm sprang to life with a chorus of creaking bed springs, rhythmic, like a metronome. I cracked my door and saw them, maybe a dozen students, eyes half shut, limbs slack, gliding down the hall in eerie unison. Their bare feet whispered on the linoleum, a soft shuffle like distant waves. Jenny from 3B passed, her lips twitching, Velkarash, a word, or not a word, hissed like air leaking from a tire. They descended the stairs, vanishing into the dark quad below. Morning came, and no one remembered a thing. Asked around, blank stares, nervous chuckles. One guy, a psych major, leaned in at the cafeteria, checked the old sleep study files. They don't advertise that shit. I hit the library archives, combing digital records. Found it buried in a defunct psych department folder, SSM protocol, sleep state manipulation, marked terminated in 2023. No participant names, just Group C. Cambria's initial? The project tied to Dr. Isaac Trenholm, her old advisor. His faculty page was scrubbed, but I tracked a PDF of his work, inducing conscious dissonance in REM cycles. One line burned into me, the term, Velkerash, to hollow the vessel for new tenancy, prepares the mind as a conduit. A lucid mind resists, an emptied one opens the gate. We merely unlock it. That word again. Velkerash. It crawled under my skin. Weeks later, the creaking beds woke me again, 2:33 a.m., like clockwork. I didn't just watch this time. I followed, trailing the sleepwalkers across the quad, their shadows stretching under flickering street lamps. They moved toward the old biology annex, a crumbling relic from the 60s, boarded up after budget cuts. A girl in front pressed her hand to a rusted gate, it groaned open without a key. The air turned sour, sharp with a chemical bite that stung my eyes. One kid glanced back, eyes glassy but sharp, like they saw me. "Vel," he breathed. I froze, pulse hammering, as every head turned, faces blank but focused. I bolted, their whispers swelling into a chant, Velkerash, Velkerash, chasing me back to my dorm. I didn't sleep. I practiced after that. Mirrored their limp gait, half-closed eyes, shallow breaths, until I could blend in. I had to know what Cambria found, what she died trying to stop. The next night they marched, I slipped into the line, barefoot, heart pounding but body slack. No one noticed. We crossed the quad, air thick like molasses, and reached the annex. A chain on the door crumbled at a touch, swinging open to a hallway lined with peeling paint and strange symbols, spirals, jagged lines, one circle gouged out like someone clawed it in rage. Down a slick stairwell, no rails, just damp stone and flickering bulbs. A pipe hissed, Velkerash, backwards, like a tape rewound. The walls turned smooth, ancient, like we'd stepped into a cave. At the bottom, a lab, or something worse. Cambria stood at the center, trembling, alive but not herself. Dr. Trenholm faced her, chanting in a guttural tongue, his eyes fever-bright. The sleepwalkers circled, eyes shut, murmuring, Velkerash, in sync, each syllable tightening the air. Her skin rippled, something moved inside, coiling under her ribs like a snake. Thin, silvery threads pulsed beneath her flesh, weaving through veins, draining her. She didn't scream, her lips mouthed help as her eyes locked on mine, lucid for a heartbeat. Then her skull split, not with blood, but a wet, tearing sound. A thing emerged, translucent, veined, limbs jerking like a marionette cut loose. Its mouth twisted, mimicking a smile that wasn't human. Trenholm laughed, ecstatic, as Cambria's body slumped, empty. It saw me. "Don't wake," it rasped, voice hers but wrong. Trenholm shouted, "Seize them," and the sleepwalkers turned, eyes snapping open, milky, unseeing. I ran, claws scraping stone behind me, the creature's gurgling hiss too close. The students' footsteps joined, a relentless drum. Emergency lights strobed, casting warped shadows as I sprinted up the stairs, through the annex, and out into the night. Claws grazed my shoulder, tearing fabric and skin, blood hot down my back. I dove through the gate, collapsing under a dying street lamp. The annex stood silent, windows like voids. I fled campus that night, hitching rides to a nowhere motel in Idaho. My phone's dead now, friends don't know me. Last night, I saw a figure across the lot, too tall, too still, watching. At 2:33 a.m., the motel vent hissed, Velkerash. My reflection in the mirror doesn't look right anymore, eyes too wide, like they're not mine. I found her, and I lost her. Cambria fought to close their gate, but it's still open. Trenholm's out there, and that thing, it's not done. Digging online, I found whispers. OSU's psych department ran DARPA-funded dream experiments in the 90s, testing neural overrides. Subjects vanished, labs sealed. Velkirash? Old Chinook myth, a word for soul thief. It's not just a word. It's here. If you dream of endless stairs, don't go down. Run. For Cambria. For me. They're coming.